Welcome to Tiger Tally. I'm Meredith Brito, here to get you caught up on the latest in Auburn and national news. It is that time of year again. Football fans get their taste of the game to help them last them to the fall. In case you haven't heard, Auburn football held its scrimmage game over the weekend, and the first teams impressed quite the crowd.
White, Stidham, or Willis, who will be Auburn's starting quarterback? That question was not answered today by Gus Malzahn, at least. However, some fans did have their picks on who they want to see as the starter.
Sean White.
Jarrett Stidham's got it in the bag.
Now, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jarrett and Malik.
I want the best. They both looking good.
What was answered, how each quarterback looks and can help the team.
You know, I thought he managed the offense well. I thought that he protected the football. That's really where it starts, number one thing. White's done a great job in 7-on-7, hit a lot of vertical shots too right there. I just think the first offense is playing pretty good right now, and I think our receivers are starting to take that next step. He's really doing some things that really have impressed, Coach Lindsey, and I thought he managed the offense. I think he took a sack or two today, but that's just from being young. But, overall, he's had a solid spring.
I think we have a very developed passing game, more than we have in the past. I think Jared or Sean's been practicing the whole time, so whichever one of those is back there is very good, and they're very capable of leading us to victory. So obviously we're going to be able to run the ball. That's what we do. That's what we pride ourselves on. But those guys have really came out this year and this spring and showed that, hey, if you pack the box, we'll be able to hurt you.
Looking forward to competing against them. Once fall camp gets here, and dueling it out between us two, and just pushing each other to get better.
The wide receiving corps also made a statement in the 8A game, impressing many of the coaches and teammates.
He's white lightning. He is white lightning, man. He's so quick, fast, and it's hard to put your hands on him. Big receivers, you can put your hands on them. You can bump them. You can get them rerouted. But with Will, he'll give you like a little wiggle and then squeeze past you, and he just got a little sneaky speed.
The defense looked ready to go for the fall.
Our defense, our first defense, has really taken a step forward, and they've been a handful. Overall, I would say, the defense has probably got the best of the offense as far as overall spring, but you can tell that both groups are taking that step forward.
In Auburn, Casey Cooper, Eagle Eye Sports.
The blue team would win the game 37-13 over the white team. Football season begins September 2nd against Georgia Southern. Let the countdown begin. A top 25 SEC matchup in softball this week. Number 5 Auburn against number 21 Ole Miss. Auburn, defending home field, picked up another series win, winning 2 of its 3 games. Next on the schedule, Georgia State this Wednesday at 6 at J.B. Moore Field. Auburn baseball has been handed a few L's this past week. The team came up short twice in its series against Texas A&M, which is just the beginning of a 9-game road stretch. So far this April, Auburn has gone 2-4 in March. The team had only 4 losses the entire month. Auburn travels to Samford Tuesday to meet with Samford, and then will go to Knoxville for a series with the Volunteers. Auburn has a game against Kennesaw State before returning home on the 21st to host Arkansas. Auburn basketball held its banquet, honoring the players on the team. Austin Wiley received the Courage Award. Jared Harper was honored for being named SEC Freshman of the Week twice last season. Danjel Purefoy received the Sonny Smith Outstanding Teammate Award and Free Throw Shooting Award. And the man who won MVP, Mustafa Heron, who also received the Community Service Award. The team went 18-14 last season, which was the first time Auburn has had a winning record since the 2008-2009 season. The Tigers were also the only team in the country to have freshmen as its top leading scorers. One NBA star has broken a single-season record, and the Masters tournament came down to the wire. We'll tell you all about it after the break.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
The 2017 Masters has ended, and we have a new winner of the green jacket, Sergio Garcia. Garcia shot a -9 and won in a playoff, narrowly defeating Justin Rose to win his first major tournament. He becomes the third ever Spanish golfer to win the Masters. There was history in the making on Sunday night as Russell Westbrook carved himself a place in NBA history by having the most triple-doubles in a single season. The Thunder star point guard notched his record-breaking 42nd triple-double in the game against the Denver Nuggets. The record was previously held by Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson, who had 41 triple-doubles in the 1960-61 NBA season. The NFL is looking into an arm wrestling contest that took place in Las Vegas and featured more than 30 current players. Players who were participants in the contest could be in violation of the league's gambling policy, and they may face fines by the league. According to the NFL, league personnel cannot make promotional appearances at casinos or other places that allow gambling. Steelers player James Harrison and Marshawn Lynch are among the participants. Now switching over to baseball news. One former NFL quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner is trying to showcase his talents as a baseball player. Tim Tebow, who's playing for Class A Columbia Fireflies, the minor league team affiliate of the New York Mets, hit his second home run of the season yesterday against the Augusta Green Jackets. Tebow finished the weekend series hitting 3 for 13 with 5 RBIs. The NBA playoffs are less than a week away. Who will be the team to win it all? We'll debate this and more right after the break. Welcome to Tiger Tally. I'm Meredith Brito, joined now with Stefan Sheffield and Micah Larson. First, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are the first team in the East, and the Golden State Warriors are the first team in the West. Do y'all have any predictions heading into the playoffs?
Warriors versus Cleveland. I think everyone sees this coming. We can talk about the matchups, you know, the Rockets and the Thunder. I think that'll be pretty interesting to see, you know, 2 MVP candidates going against each other. But ultimately, I think it's going to be the Warriors. I think the Spurs and Rockets can challenge the Warriors, but ultimately I think they just have too much firepower. And then we could talk about the Cavs, their little losing stretch right now, but LeBron's a totally different beast in the playoffs. I've never seen a player carry his team like he does in the postseason. So I know no one wants to see it, but it's going to be Warriors-Cavs rematch.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of the Cavs sputter down the stretch has a little bit to do with LeBron James. Him saying a couple weeks ago that the regular season doesn't matter, he doesn't care, and then after they blow that huge lead to the Hawks last night, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, like I've never heard a ref talk like that before. I don't know why the heck we lost that game. That was a bit of a red flag to me, but like you said, when LeBron hits the playoffs, he's one of the best players to ever do it, hands down. So it's hard not to pick Cavs and Golden State in this, you know, to meet up in the finals. I do like the Celtics, however. I think that'll be a very interesting. That series should go 7 games, I believe, Eastern Conference Finals.
I believe that as well. You know, it's a pretty good matchups, but who's going to check LeBron? You know, I just think they could take it to Game 7, but I don't think they have enough firepower to, you know, beat them. And then as far as the finals go, the Warriors are playing great without Kevin Durant. Now, if they get to him, you know, to the Cavs and they're all clicking, you know, it's rare to see Steph missing and Klay missing. But what's the odds that Steph, Klay, and Kevin are going to be missing shots, you know, so.
I guess we'll just have to see. But now we're going to move from NBA to the NFL, and there's been a lot of buzz surrounding Richard Sherman. There's rumors that he may be traded. What do you think is going to happen with Richard Sherman, and what team do you think could benefit from getting him the most?
I don't see anything happening with Richard Sherman. I think the bargaining price has to be way too high. Now, anyone would be willing to get him. I don't think there's this team that you can go, this is a team that really needs Richard Sherman. And there's been a lot of, you know, you've heard it over the past few years, okay, is Richard Sherman a part of the scheme in Seattle? Because you saw Maxwell, he went to Philadelphia, I believe, and absolutely got exposed. So a lot of people are now, I think, raising questions of, okay, is Richard Sherman this great cornerback because he's got Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor behind him? Or is he actually a great lockdown corner that can get it done one-on-one on an island? So I feel like there's been a lot of questions raised around that. And the price for what Richard Sherman would be, I think, is too high and then for what GMs I think are looking at Richard Sherman as now as a corner.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube? I feel like that's the Seahawks. You know, it's not that they're getting trade talks, it's that they're so open about listening to the trade talk, you know. But like you said, I don't think he's going anywhere. You know, he said there's no bad blood, but I know he feels it deep down.
Yeah.
Now, who can benefit? You know, the Patriots, they're a potential spot. Now, if they do get him, I'm just not going to watch football anymore. It's like Kevin Durant going to the Warriors now. They're already a championship team. What more do they need? They have Stephon Gilmore and all the other players they got in this free agency. Now, another team that could benefit is the Tennessee Titans. You know, they got Logan Ryan. He's a great slot cornerback. And with a lockdown corner like Richard Sherman, I think it'll be great. But like you said, I don't really think that he's going anywhere because the asking price is just too high.
Well, I think the Patriots were considering it when they were thinking about getting rid of Malcolm Butler. But then you look at their trade picks that they have available, and they don't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick for this year. So they'd have to dive into their next year's picks. So I don't really see that happening. There's been talks that maybe the Atlanta Falcons as well, but yesterday they signed Desmond Trufant to a 5-year contract, so I don't see that happening. So as of right now, I think Sherman's going to stay, and maybe they're just going to talk to him and say, hey, keep your mouth shut a little bit. Keep it to yourself. Let's make this a better locker room next year, because he had several rants this past season.
He really did, but like other corners like Aqib Talib and Darrelle Revis, they left their teams and had better careers, you know, extended it. So it could be a possibility, but overall, I don't think he's going anywhere.
And I would hate to see him leave because I love watching him and Peterson's rivalry in that conference. And I think that's something that always happens going back to the Falcons trade. I think that's something that always comes up is, oh, this was his defensive coordinator. You know, maybe he'll go reunite with Dan Quinn. I mean, that's a popular look, but I don't see, like you said, the Falcons now definitely don't have the money, that's for sure, to get him in there.
For sure. And now we're going to go to a more serious topic. So this past weekend, the Mississippi State Bulldogs had their spring game, just like Auburn did. And there was an early targeting call with Benny Broswell III, who was carrying the ball when he took a brutal hit from defensive back and fellow teammate Jonathan Abram. Obviously, we don't usually see hits like this in a spring game. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, this was uncalled for. You know, a spring game is just to show off your talent, show what the team's going to look like. Okay, we get it. You can hit, and you're a D1 player. You don't have to, you know, demolish your own teammate. Now, if this was Ole Miss hitting this guy like this, there would have been an uproar, you know, probably fist thrown and all that good stuff. This was just simply uncalled for. Like, we get it. Like, you're tenacious. That's a good thing, but, like, I don't think it was called for, you know. I don't think he should get punished for it, you know, suspended or nothing like that. Just like a stern talking to, like, hey, chill, it's your teammate. Don't do that.
Exactly. I think the coach is just going to pull him aside and say, hey, don't do that again. Don't do this to a teammate. When it comes to the fall, do it to whoever you want to, but be in check. What do you think, Micah?
I remember Coach Gus Malzahn's first year here at Auburn. That spring game, there was a targeting call. I can't remember on who the receiver was, but it was a similar play. It was a screen pass, however, on this one, and he was bobbling the ball, and the guy just came in and cleaned his clock. Now, I have a hard time because in spring games, I feel like it's so hard to gauge the defense because of not really being able to go full on, like you said. You can't really explode through somebody. It's really just wrap up form tackling, which is good, and that's where everyone's wanting to go. But I think it's very hard as a fan or as an outsider to gauge where our defense is. I like the intensity. I think it's hard in that situation as a corner when you're coming up and you see that jet sweep coming and you're just like, I'm about to get a huge hit here, and I'm trying to earn my spot on this team or, you know, make a name for myself and become a starter, and you make a play like that. It's just so hard, I feel like, to pull back, even in a spring game. But I understand it. I understand calling the game off after that too and just being like, hey, like, all right, we're done, because it could get chippy from there. And Coach Mullen knows what he's got. That's the thing. Like, it's more, I think, just put people in the stands, show them a little bit what you got coming up for the next year. And you don't want something like that happening in spring. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's a transfer as well. So I think that was a chance to be like, I belong here. You know, I'm making my statement. I can be a Bulldog. But like you said, in that situation, on your teammate, and like, you can take some goods out of it, but like, you don't want to risk your own teammate getting hurt. Like you said, it is hard to pull up when something like that. But, you know, you have to know when to stop, you know. But like I said, it was a good idea to stop the game. Okay, I think they get it. You know, let's stop it right here for, you know, bad blood, you know.
Exactly.
For sure. Now, Auburn football also held its spring game. Fans got to look at the team. And what are y'all's thoughts after this game?
I feel pretty. I mean, going into it, the main focus point, I think, and you'd agree with me, is the Jarrett Stidham.
Yes.
I mean, what's he going to do at quarterback? I think the play that stuck out to me the absolute most in this game was, I believe it was a 3-yard out on the short side of the field. Jarrett Stidham absolutely lasered one in there to Hastings on the out route. And he was draped on by a corner, and it was just an absolute laser. And I was like, okay, this guy's got the arm that you're looking for. And you got to remember, Cameron Petway was not playing in this game. And after I saw more yards completed of 30 yards or more in this spring game than I did in my 4 years of being here.
Right.
So that's a huge plus right there, a vertical passing game. Teams are going to have to decide, are they going to load the box and go one-on-one on the outside on our young, very talented receivers? I think Nate Craig Myers had a great showing. And I think that's going to be a huge thing for our offense, because you're either going to have to load the box to stop Petway and leave us one-on-one on the outside, or if you try and get help over the top and it's one-on-one matchups in the box, Cameron Petway is going to make you pay for it. Right.
Like you said, Jarrett Stidham was the big, eye focus this week. But I would just say the 50-50 between rushing and passing, I really like that, And also the wide receivers, they have to be happy, And like you said, Craig Myers is emerging as a #1 go-to receiver. And also the front seven on the defense, they look pretty good, even better than last season. So, like you said, Jarrett Stidham, he was just lasering it. Every pass was on point. There was not one bad decision. Our wide receivers are looking better. Like I said, Hastings, he did pretty good. We got to work on, holding the ball, fumbling, all that good stuff. It's never good. Yeah. But overall, I think it was a good spring, Like you said, Cameron Petway, I think he's the best returning SEC running back besides their guys from LSU. But like I said, they're going to be something to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, and even before Carrion got hurt, he was having a fairly decent game rushing the ball. And then also, I thought it was pretty evenly matched. I thought the defense was actually holding their own pretty well, other than Jarrett Stidham making a few amazing throws that we haven't seen from an Auburn player in years.
And we'll take that. We'll take that.
For sure, but the defense definitely held their own. We had a pass rush. The corners were playing okay. I think this team is going to be doing pretty well this upcoming season.
Right. They have, I think preseason, they said they may have them ranked at #5. It's a little high because, Auburn in high rankings like that, I say give them #10, let them work for their #5 spot. But, overall, I think they'll be pretty good and compete with that town up in T-Town, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, the high ranking for Auburn in the past, and really in the past probably 12, 15 years, you go back to 2002. Before the undefeated season, Auburn was a top 5 team. I believe they won 8 games or something like that. And then 2 years ago, with Jeremy's first year, I don't even remember what our ranking was. But
4, I believe.
Yeah, top 5, top 10. And we all know how that season went. Right. I think we were all there for that one. So, but I think the future is bright. Last spring, I think we all saw it. There was a little bit of question marks at the running back. We lost everyone. Quarterbacks, we were kind of unsure what was going to happen.
Right.
And I think that was a fair projection of what the season was. Stidham, I think, has the lead. Now, I don't think they're going to announce him as a starting quarterback just yet. I think they want to let Sean get a fighting chance, and I get it. But, we'll see. I think we all know, though, that it's more than likely going to be Stidham.
He's a baller. I can't wait to see what, the season brings.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, guys. And join us next week for more sports news. That was